All right, my good sir. Basically, the song is about, everybody just said I should sing about the broken heart. Everybody's broken hearted. So that's what the song is about. Sure.
Okay, let's give Mr. SPL another round of applause, colleagues. Thank you. He writes songs for people that are not able to relate with his language. He writes songs that are sad, of people that are cheated, people. I hope the next song is going to sing about something, happiness. You can go to YouTube and check his music video. There's a lady there that is checking his phone out. So that's Mr. SPL. Let's give him another round of applause, colleagues. Okay. I'm sent here to introduce our program director. Colleagues, the program has already, officially started. By the way, you are live on TV, on FS Online channel. We'll send you the link, or you can just search FS Online channel. You'll see yourself there. Mpigzo, take over the program. Let's give him a round of applause.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm quite excited to be the program's director of this wonderful evening, the Free State SGB Excellence Awards. I never knew that, SGBs are given awards, because they never really look that important in schools. So I'm quite excited to see that SGBs are awarded this evening. But without wasting any time, ladies and gentlemen, usually when we start with a prayer. But these days, because people have different religions and beliefs, we just have a moment of silence, and after the moment of silence, we continue. So basically that means you can do your own prayer in your heart. So what I'm basically going to ask is that we have a moment of silence as a form of prayer. And when I say amen, we will proceed with the program. And amen. And ladies and gentlemen, let me just ask you to give yourselves a round of applause. You all are looking amazing. That was a warm-up. Now really, really give yourselves a round of applause. You all are looking amazing. And if you are looking for bathrooms, they are just by the entrance there. You'll just turn to your right. When you are at the entrance, you'll find both the female and male bathrooms, just in case you need them. But I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to start with our very first item on the program, and I'm going to call on stage M.E. Makhala Sukhoto, SA from SA Congress, who's going to give us the message of support this evening. Without wasting any time, a round of applause for Mayor Makhala Sukhoto.
I'm surprised. Serious. Ntate Chinani, Ntate Vani. Ke tla le fumana. Okay. Dumelang bomme le bontate. Tshwarelo ke kopa ho bua ka Sesotho. Ke dumedisa di-SGB tsohle tse teng monana letsatsing la lona. Haholoholo ke dumedisa baetapele ba Free State ka ho fa di-SGB monyetla, haholoholo batswadi. A ke re batswadi ha ra bala. So batho ba bang ba nahana hore ha re sa bala ha re tsebe niks. So tse ngata matitjhere ha mmoho le di-principal ke nahana ba ithutile dilemong tsena ho tswa ho Ntate Tate Magwe. So message wa ka o mosesane fela o monyane o simple ho di-SGB tsohle tsa Free State. Ha re ithute ntho e one, communication is the key of success. Ha ona ntho e hlolang communication. If ever re tlo dula re lwana ka hara sekolo, especially executive, I hate to be in executive because ba feel hore ha o le chairperson o rana sekolo ene ha e jwalo. So chairperson, treasurer, assembly, ha re tswe re lo ba bolella fore a se dikolo tsa bona tseo. So nna ke le Miss Hot ho tswa ko Congress ke tlo fihla sekolong sa Ntate Vani kgotsa sa Ntate o mong a teng hara SGB. Ntate Ponyane ke tla fihla sekolong sa hao. If ever le wena o etsa corruption, ke a ema ke a kena. O affiliate o sa affiliate. Taba ya ka E1 ha ke compromise ka ngwana. So ha o tua ngwaneng teacher principal le tla latela ka morao. Ntate Moloi o hlotse re ke striker. No ha ke striker. Empa ngwana o tlile pele. If ke re ngwana o phoso o le teacher, principal o entse eng ho bona hore really ngwana o phoso. Teacher yena o entse eng ho bontsha hore ngwana o ha a phoso. Hona le incident e etsaetseng no yana. So ke nahana e tla ba lesson ho di principal hore communication is the key for everything. Thank you.
Round of applause one more time for Mayor Sokhotla. Communication is the key. I love it. Communication is the key. Ms. Sokhotla, ke a leboha. We need to always be reminded in everything that we do that communication is always key. Where there's no communication, there's always struggle. So communication is the key. That's what I've taken from Ms. Sokhotla. But we're going to move right along because we started late. I'm going to try to push this program so that, we finish in time. So what I'm going to ask right now is one more time, round of applause. We're going to call Archbishop Isaac Vani, the president of FSSGI, for opening and welcoming. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And Archbishop, the stage is yours.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, Miss Hot, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As you heard, my name is Archbishop Isaac Vani, the president of FSGI. Today, it's not the day of so many speeches. It's the day to celebrate, the day to appreciate. After 25 years of the existence of the SGBs, it's for the first time in the history of the SGBs, not only in the Free State, but the entire country. There is no way in any province where the SGBs were appreciated or given awards, or their efforts and the investment in the education has been appreciated. So today is the day where we say as FSGI, we are taking this platform to salute these volunteers that spend their time in supporting not only the teachers, not only the principals, but their support is going up to support the MEC and the entire province. That is why we are number one for five times or so. That is because of the support of these volunteers. So today we are giving the proper appreciation to the SGBs, the individuals that has invested their time in supporting education. But let me start by giving the picture of what is exactly FSGI is all about. FSGI, like the chairperson has stated, after 25 years since 1997 up until now, it cannot be right that we still experience the SGBs that are seen as people who don't understand their role, their functions in the school. But my experience, I have 25 years experience, ladies and gentlemen, in the governance since 1997, unbroken experience. So that experience itself gave us the picture that still there's a gap that needs to be closed. Then FSGI came in to close that gap. But the question is how? Because things have been done, people have been going up and down, people have been inducted, but we still have cases, we still have scenarios, we still have situations where we find that there's a problem between the SGBs, the principals, and you ask yourself, if there are people who have been there, what is the problem? But then we have realized that there need to be change in the school governance. FSGI is here, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that we professionalize the governance in the schools. And by professionalizing, we are not talking about doing things like principals competing with the teachers, but making sure that there's a clear understanding of South African Schools Act. Because when you are equipped with clear knowledge, there's no one who can stand in your way. That is where FSGI comes in, that we are going to professionalize by capacitating every SGB in the Free State. That is why we are encouraging all the SGBs to say, come and join FSGI. Come and become the members so that you can benefit largely so as a member of the school governance. One thing that we are going to do, or one thing that we are doing, we are not only capacitating them and leave them to operate on their own. We are having the program in the FSGI that we called SGB Lab. The SGB Lab deals with the monitoring and guiding the SGBs all throughout the time, all throughout the years, all throughout the term. If it's 3 years, all throughout the term we'll be there to guide them, to capacitate them, to monitor them and make sure that they are doing things the right way. Making sure that they implement. Remember, the SGBs, they have powers as it is invested. Section 16, subsection B, it's very clear about their role. So it is our role to make sure that they understand the trust that has been invested in them and they do their work properly. Now, capacitating them doesn't just come once from us. We do it continuously. We do it all across. There are a number of functions that the SGBs need to do. You talk policies, you talk finances, but the governance is broad. But when you look at issues of finances, issues of policies, because those are the key things that we look at the functionality of the SGB. So if they have clear policies, we understand that they will do things the right way. Now that is where we come in as FSGI. We help you to review, to develop your policies. And we help you to monitor and implement the policies. And our doors are open. That every time when you think or when you see that there's something that you don't understand, there's something that is not clear, you just pick up the call and say, CEO, chairperson, we need your intervention. Because that is one thing that needs to be addressed, because if there are problems in the governance, in the schools, the SGBs don't know where to go. They don't know which door to knock at because of some other reasons that I won't go to. But as FSGI, once the call comes in, we stand up. We go to the particular school, we don't go and fight. That is not our territory. Our work is to go and support the principal, support the SGB, support the circuit manager, support the district director, and support the MEC ultimately. Because what we want is to see the Free State remain number one. And it will never remain number one if the support from the school governance is not proper. If not the function of the SGB are not well monitored, that cannot be achieved. So that is where we come in as Free State School Governance. So, briefly, ladies and gentlemen, Free State Schools Governance Institute is here to stay. Is here to make sure that we professionalize the running of the governance in all the schools. And unfortunately, we are going to make sure that we teach, we capacitate, we train all the SGB members, so that they understand clearly the South African Schools Act. And unfortunately, some other principals are having the problem. When now SGBs are starting to understand the South African Schools Act, they start to have a problem. Because now they see that the SGBs know exactly what they are supposed to do and where to go. And they understand their powers very clear. That is where the principals are starting to get the problems. And our voice is very clear. We reach out to the principals and say, FSGI is here also to protect you. Because once your school, your SGB is a member of the School Governance Institute, we stand up to make sure that we implement the code of conduct and make sure that there is no member of the SGB who will come and fight the principal or whatsoever, or for any particular reason. We are not here for that. We are here to make sure that the governance is very clear. So, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a pleasure to welcome you to this history-making day, where we are going to appreciate the people that are investing their efforts, time, and everything in the governance of the school. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you as you are part of the history. As we are writing the history, you will be part of this history for the years to come. So feel free, you are welcome, you are at home. I hope everyone who's here, you will enjoy the day. You will, and be free. Like Chairperson has said, we are here to celebrate. Be free. Risk about too serious. When we become too serious, it's like, hey, home. We are here to enjoy. We are here to celebrate. So feel free, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome. Feel at home. I know this is your second home away from home for today. So feel free, relax, and enjoy the day. So everyone is welcome, and thank you for being here. May God bless you. May God stay with you for all throughout the event. Thank you, and welcome everybody. And let me welcome the program director officially. You are welcome, program director, and thank you for your time. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Archbishop. At least I feel welcome now. Let me also add, growing up as a school kid, it used to be tough, knowing that your guardian or your parent is part of the SGB. Because you can't do anything that other kids does that you're not supposed to do. Because the teachers will remind you that your father, your mother, your sister is part of the SGB. There's nothing as terrifying like that. You do something, all of a sudden you are told, now the teachers can't do anything, but they tell your father. Imagine having to go home and having to account to your father or your parent or your guardian what you were doing at school. That must be really tough. But we appreciate the work that you're doing in schools, all the school governing bodies. And like Archbishop has said, it's a day to celebrate and appreciate you. One more time, round of applause for yourselves. And right about now, we're going to move into another item in the program, and we're going to call on stage the chairperson of the Free State BMF, who is our guest speaker, our opening guest speaker, Mr. Mosebetsi Dladla. As he comes, please, once more, can we give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen?
Good evening, everyone. They usually say where we are, all protocol observed. Then you've greeted everyone who was very distinguished here. One of the first things when I said today, I was saying, do you write a speech or do you speak from the heart? And for me, first and foremost, I'm happy that we have got this inaugural awards. I represent a formation that is very much passionate and concerned about governance, primarily amongst black people. We develop black managers in business, corporates, in government, but equally, we had a chat early this year with the MEC, and I was saying, we've spoken with a lot of our members to say, most of us are not participating in the township schools governance. And that aspect needs to happen. And now we're saying the challenge is that most of the members we have at BMF, you find their kids are not in the same schools. Now the question is, how do we allow that arrangement that these guys can be there? And I'm happy that I was invited to this session, because then my plea was to be to the SGBs. Our schools in the township are not strong at fundraising, because the people that must assist them with fundraising, their kids are going to schools in the former Model C schools. Some of us were fortunate that when we went to the township schools, majority of black people's kids were in the township schools. So whether the rich business guy, you went to school with their kids. Over the years, that complexion has changed. Now my plea in this award, as we award these SGBs that are very progressive, I am now going to say, we need to find means and ways to build infrastructure in township schools. Township schools can not only produce only one cohort of young people who are only academically good. When we develop human beings, we must develop fully rounded human beings. There should be young people that do sports at the age of 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 years. And my plea with the SGBs is that let's consider that. The employment market in South Africa can take so many people with diplomas and BTECs and all that. But there's other areas of human development that we have not been developing in our township schools. And majority of SGBs must look at that. But equally, SGBs need to find a way to say, we have the national lotteries. How do we find money to help build infrastructure in our schools? There's a next set of aspects. As we fix the governance of the schools, how do we begin to build credible business proposals? Hence I say, we need to find a way to allow the professionals we have. I've spoken with members of the BMF to say, we need to participate. In the hometown where I come from, there's a school I adopted. It's called Intabazwe Secondary School. And in any aspects of my businesses, I tell my aspects to say, my CSI budget will go to this school because it needs to build the infrastructure. But I'm saying there's a lot of us as black professionals who can do that. But equally, you need flexibility within the same schools that we allow events that allow fundraising. We allow kids in the township schools to engage in fundraising. When I was young, I used to fundraise for my school. I hardly see the kids in my family fundraising to say our school is looking for money to do other things. We can't rely only on equitable share or allocations we get from government colleagues. And as the BMF, we want to really congratulate the recipients that will receive the awards today. We know our province has done well over the last 4 or 5 years in terms of our schooling. We want to urge you now that instead of only producing the quantity of students that finish matric, let's improve on the quality, let's diversify the offering that our schools have. For some of the kids that we have who are not in schools that are in the township, the first 4 or 5 years of their years they spend doing more sports that teach them discipline. Someone says, why do kids in townships don't have discipline? How much sport do they do? How much of team play do they do? Sports teaches that aspect, and it's important that schools must bring that back. I don't think kids between the ages of 6 and 12, the biggest focus can be academic results that they must finish and have distinctions. We need to develop well-rounded people. And it's the SGBs that can insist on that. As the BMF, we are looking at more strong partnerships. We work on ethical leadership. And it's important that our schools are governed properly. And it's important that CEOs of schools who are principals do not become the ones that set the strategic direction of the school. The school governing body must set the strategic direction of the school, because the school becomes the building block of a community. If our communities in the townships are dysfunctional, it's because we are getting something wrong at governance of our one key institution, which is the schools. We need to fix those aspects. It is not the government's responsibility to fix that, colleagues. It's the responsibility of me and you. We need to do it, not for anyone else, but for our kids, our grandchildren, our cousins, and our sisters' children. That's why we need to do that. So today's ceremony is, for me, I would want to appreciate a lot of the people that organized it, and it must be the first of many, where we recognize this layer that has kept our schools as they are. You hardly hear of vandalized schools in the Free State. That is because of the work of the SGBs. And we need to be able to do that. We need to get the SGBs not only governing a school, but you need SGBs in a community to find a way of working together. Because the critical component in any community is any kid between 20 years and 6 years. And most of those kids are in your institutions. We're actually happy that even early childhood has now been added to the basic education system, meaning the SGB model needs to be able to cover and cater for the development of those kids as well, colleagues. But the next important thing will be resources. We need to find a way of making corporate South Africa responsible in the development of our communities. It is you as parents who support all these businesses across. How much do these businesses support back? And if you're in the SGB, how many of the business people within your area do you really know? And do you allow them to come and invite them to your school so that you can say, but our school needs ablution facilities. Our school needs 1 and 2. Because the assumption is that business will always come. Most people that are in business are always focused on the main thing, which is business. But if they get an opportunity to contribute, because they are members of the society, SGBs allow them that room to be able to contribute, colleagues. And thank you very much to the winners today. Let's keep running those schools. Let's grow those schools. Let's get to a situation where we don't even have to classify schools under quintiles. Let's put resources in all the schools that we have. And let's make sure our kids are able to compete with kids from other countries. That is what is important. Because the world today is a globalized world. Today, kids that are doing IT can do work in South Africa when they are in Europe. They can do work in South Africa when they are in India. That's why you would find our unemployment continues to increase, because we're not allowing our kids to have skills that have got value. And part of that is to allow them to work with the SGBs to raise funds for their schools, but to be proud of their schools. We need to also to allow more areas where kids compete with other kids. I've always known that when I was at school, there are always these forms called indemnity, where people indemnify themselves to say, you can never indemnify yourself from raising children. And we all know when we say indemnity, we actually saying to this child, hey, we can't do this thing, it's too risky, it might get us into trouble. Let's raise the children knowing that these are the risks, but this is important for you to understand. That is going to be important, colleagues. But I'm open to say we want that partnership. We want to know how we can move and be able to assist, how we can bring our experienced and seasoned business executives to help with the schools and to assist and contribute. It is not only with money where they assist, it's also having someone reputable in your institution to say when you fundraise and you say our guest speaker is so and so, the community is more likely to come and contribute and buy your tables. That's another way that schools can raise money. How many schools do reunions of the children that came from those schools? Most of them do well in life. Schools, SGBs must allow that because that's your alumni. Universities stand because of one reason. They always follow up on their alumni. When you're an alumni of the university, you know from time to time you'll get a call. We need you to contribute here. We need you to participate here. Are we doing that to the same schools that we lead? Do we check on the list and say, principal, of all the people we've had here, who are the people that have done well? How do we bring those people here so that the kids can be motivated? And colleagues, I'm saying I'm willing to avail my members. Sis Betty is here, is one of the members of the Black Management Forum. Mpulu Gang is also here, member of the Black Management Forum. They said we want to participate in this program. Because governance is not only in companies, governance is not only in government or state-owned enterprises. There's an important aspect of governance. The biggest expenditure in this country is education. Are we getting the value for the money we spend on our kids? One of the things, colleagues, I'll share this lesson as I drop off the stage is that in my life in business, it's common that you would have unions. I got to a situation where I did not need a union. For the simple aspect, I said, people form a union and want to work against you or to fight against you when they feel that you are not leading in their best interest. You need SGBs that lead in the best interest of the school. Then you won't have a situation where unions are running the schools. Every teacher would know that I'm part of this ecosystem and I'm here to contribute. And that aspect is always key, colleagues. One of the things that we fail at, a majority of us as black people, is the issue of saying it's only me that can do it right. If the opportunity is given to someone else, we want them to fail. We never say, can we support them? There can only be one chairperson of an SGB in a school. Are we all as parents who in that school supporting that person? Because when we support him, we're actually supporting our kids. And actually what I learned in leadership, when the expectation is high on you not to fail, you tend not to disappoint your people because you know every single day they want you to succeed. But when your people are always criticizing you, it's easy for you to say, it doesn't matter, I can do whatever I do, there's nothing they can do. So we need to find a model and a mechanism, and these awards are one of those who say, as you do well in your school, we recognize you. And once you've been recognized, you can't come the next week and appear in the newspaper for failure or for mismanaging the funds or for not unethical conduct in your school. There's no way. There's no way success wants to have failure. So it's important, colleagues, that we encourage each other on this journey, but equally people that want to be in leadership. Leadership requires you to continuously learn. You don't lead by common sense. Colleagues, common sense is not common. I always say to people, when you say you've got integrity, I had a grandmother who was not able to learn from apartheid, but every time I had my books, she would ask to read them. And at some point, she would then say, but I think, what is this word? And then I realized to say, when she says I must go to school, it's not because she never wanted to go to school. She never got the opportunity to go to school, colleagues. And for me, that is important to say, as we want to lead the schools, let's have integrity as the parents. Let's also want to study. Let's also show these kids that we want to get educated as well. That is important for our SGBs. Thank you very much, colleagues, and let's enjoy this ceremony, and let's allow those that have won today to be able to succeed even more, and let's begin to look for more sponsors for such events like this. It's very important that we contribute this, because when you contribute to SGBs, you contribute to our society at a very basic level. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Thank you so much, Dr. Msebeti. One key word I took from him: sports. Kids these days in schools, they don't play sports that much. Every time after, the school is over, you see them walking out that school gate to go sit on corners, start little gangs. All of a sudden, they're into drugs, and you see even girls joining along. We need more sports in schools. SGBs, please go do your work and make sure that, our kids are back in playing sports. But let's move right along with our program, and I'm going to call on stage another guest speaker, that is Mebeti Mungate from the provincial. She is the provincial coordinator for psychosocial support, that is inclusive education. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for Mebeti Mungate.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you, Program Director, for this opportunity. As it has been indicated, my name is Betty Mangate. I am a social worker in the Department of Basic Education, Provincial Office, and I am responsible for psychosocial support in the department. However, today I came to this function wearing two hats. I'm also a member of the Black Management Forum, as my chairperson has indicated. But my task today is just to give introductory remarks on behalf of the Department of Education. Colleagues and ladies and gentlemen, we all know that the Department of Education has a constitutional mandate to ensure that all our children get what we call, quality education. However, we know from our history as a country, there were certain imbalances that probably became barriers that allow our children to access that education. And that is why the Department of Education introduced a policy that is called inclusive education that enables all our children, irrespective of their abilities, their disabilities, their gender and race, to access this education that we are talking about. And it is our role as the department, together with the SGBs, to ensure that all our schools are conducive enough for our children to learn. That is why we have seen very important to ensure that we have special schools. But what is more important, what we are driving for, is that all our schools should be full service school, meaning all the resources that you find in the special schools should be in our normal mainstream schools, where children that are on wheelchair could have access to education that is within their vicinity. However, ladies and gentlemen, I know that the SGBs are playing a crucial role to ensure that the overall management of our schools are effective, and also the implementation of our policies. As much as we are here to celebrate tonight, I want to challenge the SGB who are here today to say, as a social worker, I walk around the districts within our provinces and seeing a shocking number of children that drop out due to severe behavioral challenges to learning. And, the role that will be played by SGBs is to ensure that those children go through the disciplinary hearings and at the end of the day, they are expelled. However, my plea today is that as the SGBs, let us ensure that our policies are more of a restorative approach than punitive approach, so that we can ensure that we retain those children, irrespective of the challenges that are facing within the system, with adequate psychosocial support. And secondly, Chairperson, you have realized that the stats of learner pregnancy from the pandemic COVID-19 has risen so badly. And as the department, we have introduced a new policy on learner prevention and management for our learners, so that we can retain all those girl children who are dropping out due to pregnancy, and equally teach our boy child the responsibility when it comes to learner pregnancy. So I believe that moving forward, we are going to see our SGBs move, taking the leeway in ensuring that this new policy is implemented in our schools. And lastly, Chairperson, I want to say that if you look at the cases, sexual offenses cases against the learners that are emanating from the relationship between our teachers and learners, the stats are also shocking. We had a meeting earlier on with the ELRC, and I think that is where now the SGBs can play a vital role in ensuring that those children who become victims or witnesses of these abuses, they can get adequate support. That is why we need to have intermediaries in all the districts that will ensure that when learners are going through these cases or sittings or hearing, they do not suffer or become secondary victimized. So, ladies and gentlemen, in closing, I want to say that the SGBs, you are great. And you are playing a good role because you ensure that all the relevant stakeholders play a role in the Department of Education. But I want to also applaud you and encourage you to further strengthen your collaboration with organizations like the Black Management Forum, because we want leaders that can manage. We don't want leaders who are for titles, but they are not capable or competent to do the task. And also, congratulations to all the candidates who will be awarded their certificates today. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Mebeti. Round of applause one more time for Mebeti. And ladies and gentlemen, right about now, I'm going to call on stage Ndade Tsidiso Tinane to basically introduce our guests in the building and also introduce our keynote speaker for the evening. Round of applause for Ndade Tsidiso Tinane as he comes to stage one more time.
Thank you, Mpixo. Colleagues, please bear with me. I know you're going to see me a lot, ne? And what I normally do, I normally say when I start the training, I think it's standard to all the schools that if you don't like me, you have a problem because you are stuck with me. I'm not going anywhere. Whether you saw me passing 10 times, you must understand. Thank you, colleagues. Mine is just to do a short introduction of our special guests that we invited here today. We're going to start in the Department of Education. We have the Provincial SGB Council that is led by our President, Archbishop Isaac Vani. He is leading 5 districts. We'll start with his district. Let's welcome the chairperson of Lijolo Education SGB Council, Archbishop Isaac Vani. Okay, moving right along. The man who's leading the top district in the province right now. And you are number 2 national, is it? Yes. Colleagues, let's give a round of applause to our colleague in the FSGI. He is the chairperson of Moteo, Mr. Pakiso Makanya. DJ, you have slides. Perhaps you should give us slides so that colleagues can see people. Okay, moving right along. From the Karib district, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Magandela. He's the chairperson of the Kareb district. Thank you so much. And then lastly, we have our colleague from Thabo Mofusanyana district. He told me that he's not the provincial secretary. Actually, we thought that he's the provincial secretary. That one, we apologize. You see, as FSGI, we are a baby organization, so we are not invited in your meetings of the SGB Council. Ne? So we get to confuse names at times. Colleagues, let's welcome all the way from Kwakwa. Are you? Where are you seated? I need to see you first. This gentleman went to Small Street before he came here. So for colleagues, that are based here, we really apologize that you found yourself in a place that we do not like. But we know that it was not deliberate. Ne? Thank you so much. You know, because you come from a very, we are in an area where it's very hot today. I'm sweating. Ne? Please stand up and tell people who you are. Because when you are cold, Musa. Yes, thank you so much, Tatum. I wanted you to do it yourself. For colleagues who did not hear, is Mr. Malinga Prince. Which one comes first, Prince or Malinga? Malinga, or Malinga Prince. Yes, all the way from Thabo Mofusanyana. Let's give him a round of applause. Colleagues, we tried as much as possible to get all our colleagues present. We flouted with Fezile Dabi. Because, colleagues, even with the nominations and the winners here, there was one determinant as to who wins or who loses. We are coming to the hours, voicemail. When colleagues are called, their phones are on voicemail. It was the most critical determinant, even better than the scoring process itself. Because you are nominated, you accept the nomination. When you are called by the team, the phone is on voicemail. So let's give all our district council leaders a round of applause, colleagues. Thank you so much. Initially, colleagues said they are not available today because they are going to the Strat plan. Eh? And then we did not include them in our plans. But surprisingly, when I entered here, I saw one of the colleagues. Colleagues, let's give a round of applause to Dr. Nseto. He's from the Department of Education and IDMG. Seated right there. Thank you so much. And just to know, that IDMG in the FSGA is our home. It's where our Mondays is actually seated. I'm sure you are into colleagues, you have seen the provincial chairperson of BMF, Mr. Musebezi Tata. I'm not sure as to whether he encouraged all the SMT members to join BMF because they are managers, so that we can be able to grow together in our managerial leadership. Colleagues, let me introduce to you. I heard about this gentleman when I was very young in politics as one of the most progressive MECs. And then his term ended at some point, and then we are working with him now. Let's welcome the former MEC of Sports, Arts and Culture in the Free State, Comrade Dan Khotule. Dressed very nicely. Thank you so much, MEC. Okay, colleagues, amongst us here, we have our sponsors who made this event to be possible here today. And then I'm going to take this moment and welcome our first sponsor and our corporate member, SFSGI. Because SFSGI, private companies are able to join the association as corporate members. They pay a very large amount of money for people like us, and I will mention it, I think, later. Let's welcome our colleagues from Standard Bank. Are we seated? Because they gave me, thank you, Dadevale. Thank you. No, they gave you, your names in a group, ne? So it was difficult for me to say Dadevale. So welcome, and thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it. Thank you, colleagues. And then all the way from Lijwe colleagues, one of our sponsors for today, and I want to tell you something, SPL. This gentleman bought the prize that is going to be won today. in a Louis Vuitton bag. Okay. Thank you. Colleagues, let's welcome the CEO of Alberto Road Markings and Civils, Mr. Sinde Ntlapo. Thank you. Thank you. He's also a sponsor of RCL category. So we don't know, Ndade Makanya, what is in the Louis Vuitton bag. Thank you so much. But he's a man of style. Make no mistake on that. Okay, and also let's welcome our new friends in the FSGI and Tatumloi. They will be our corporate members very soon. And then we hope they join President today. They are coming from the core group. Mr. Kovas, welcome, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. They will be helping you with insurance for your assets. Ajire, you remember when we reviewed your policies, we also reviewed asset management policy. So we identified, I'm sure you even seen that we are running a survey as to where are you banking, who is your, your photocopy, company and all of that. So they are going to be working with us to help us there with to secure the assets for our members of FSGI. Colleagues, I will immediately after the first two names, I will introduce Ihoka and then take a break so that we can continue. We'll do volume 2. Second lastly, let's welcome one of our members. He's not a member yet because he has not signed, but he's one of the sponsors of the event today. He runs a foundation that is doing immaculate work for the community in the Free State. Let's welcome Mr. Frederick Babu. Thank you so much, Mr. Babu. So he's gonna be working with us in that Muloi, because we said he must change the mandate from churches to schools so that he can give, because he gives a lot in schools. Colleagues, we have introduced Mayor Betty. She mentioned that she's actually wearing two hats. And before I continue, the last name, do we have colleagues from APSA? Are we here, colleagues? Please stand up so people can see you. Thank you so much. So we're gonna be working with them, Dr. Nzeto. They are next door, so they are going to invest money in the SGBs, ne? And I'm told that your budget is quite nice. Okay. No, thank you so much. We appreciate. Thank you so much. Next time when you see me driving a V-Class, you are not going to complain. Okay, let's give APSA a round of applause, colleagues. Thank you so much. I'm being pressed for time, and then we'll come back for the second round of our special guest. So if you are not mentioned, please don't feel offended. At the door, colleagues, we have our Secretary General of FSGI. He's also a soccer mogul. Mr. Silon Tuli is just back there. Thank you so much. Colleagues, let me take this moment and welcome our district director, Dadamloy. I don't know how you do it, Dadamloy, really. For you to be number 1 here and also be number 2 at the national level. Perhaps you are going to share the secret. What is your motto? There's a motto that I love. Your motto of the district? The district on the rise to greatness. Let's give Dadamloy a round of applause. Maybe we can even give him a standing ovation. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much. My name is Lyra, and welcome to the Standard.
Dumela. Okay. No, good evening to everyone. Thank you very much, Program Director. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's a bit intimidating because the mood should be more encouraging and celebratory. But this one looks very, thoughtful, reflective, and a bit intimidating. Ne? Okay. Therefore, don't intimidate me by your demeanor and the atmosphere in the room. Ne? Are we celebrating? Yes, okay. And then I can speak. How? Whew. Okay. No, thank you very much, Program Director, for the opportunity. It really feels good to be here. I could not have missed this opportunity for any other thing. I really wanted to be here. Ne? Even if I was going to be on a hospital bed, I was going to ask for an ambulance to bring me here and speak from a sick bed, and then after speaking, and then I will leave. Ne? Thank you very much for the opportunity. I think let me acknowledge and appreciate the support and then this great organization has received, and then from all and then stakeholders and role players, the believers, the patriots, people who understand that this country should be where we want it to be through our effort and participation, not from being armchair critics, not from just doing absolutely nothing, but acting as journalists. And then what comes to mind is our MEC, Ndade Khotule. You will remain our MEC. You are like a teacher. Ne? Once a teacher, always a teacher. Once an MEC, always an MEC. Once a leader, always a leader. It really feels good and then to be seeing you in good shape, our MEC. Ne? And thank you even for your leadership, even at this moment. And then I think it is also proper, colleagues, to acknowledge that and our MEC, Dr. Tate Mahwe, and then had prioritized this event, but because of other activities, and then he was in Bethlehem, and then today, and then the deputy minister was there, they were handing over an kitchen to the school, which is a national and an event. And I think you are also aware of what is happening with regard to the ruling party. And then I think he might have been, and then focusing all the other and then national priorities. But I think I will be, because, and then we have been led sufficiently, and then we'll be able to share some of the thoughts, and then in the department. I think the leadership of this great institution, and then FSSGI, Archbishop, thank you very much for your leadership. Thank you very much for what you are doing for the province of the Free State, especially for our schools. We really need to celebrate what you are doing while you are still alive. And then the chairperson, thank you very much. Together with the entire collective, we really want to salute you and then for what you are doing for our schools in the education sector, including this flagship and an event, which is the first of its kind, I think, even in the country, in this particular category. And then we really want to acknowledge both the leadership and the membership, and then of this great and an initiative. And then I think we have also been introduced, and then to all the stakeholders, and then the role players, and then the contributors, the patriots, who may be in the business sector, but who know exactly that for this country to be where we want it to be, we must be able to invest intelligently. And they have done exactly that by investing in education. We really appreciate that, because you are investing in the future. If you invest in education, you are investing in our children, you are investing in the future. You are investing in eternity and sustainability. And then really thank you very much for that. And then I will be failing in my responsibility if I'm not going to really acknowledge and appreciate the role played and then by our governing bodies, and then from all the districts, all the circuits, all the schools, and then represented here, and our foot soldiers, you know, our commanders at school level, our principals. I've seen a number of them, but especially I've seen the majority of them coming from the district on the rise to greatness. That is Moteo. Thank you very much, colleagues, for your leadership, leading even those who don't want to be led, leading those who don't and then appreciate you, leading those who may not necessarily and then be liking what you are doing, but understanding that leadership is not an easy task, but it needs to be done by someone else. We really appreciate. And then ladies and gentlemen, and even those who are going to be the recipients of today's awards. And then program director, I think you have said it all. And then today is not really the day for long speeches. And then it is the day to celebrate excellence. It is the day to celebrate dedication. It is the day to celebrate those who have done extremely well. And allow me to really appreciate them. We really have got to appreciate them in a true sense of the word. If you look at what role are the governance structures doing in our education space, in our education, you will really understand that the future of this country, the future of the current generation, for them to be successful, for them to emulate the countries which have made it, we have got to make sure that, and then we give our learners, we give our children, we can give them material things, money. I can tell you it is going to be exhausted, it will get finished. We can give them wealth. It may not necessarily take them that long. We can give them whatever material things this world and desires for, but it may not make a telling difference. The only way in which we can turn the fortunes of this country around is to make sure that every child is regarded as a national asset. Every child is given education, training, and development. Once you have got those, education, training, and development, you know that you will have invested wisely. Because it is only education, it is only training, it is only development which changes attitudes, which changes the way people respect themselves and respect the others. Because money can do, but it may not be able to change attitudes. Therefore, there's only one institution which is an oasis of education, training, and development. I can tell you it is not a mall. I can tell you the church can do something when it comes to spirituality and our souls. All the other institutions, they've got their role. But the one which turns things around, it is one called a school. That is why even the poorest of the poor, they will sacrifice their last dollar. They will sacrifice their last cent to take their own blood and flesh to a school. Any other parent, it may be in the informal settlement, it may be the learned, it may be the unlearned, it may be the educated, it may be the wealthiest, it may be the poorest. There is one thing they will always make a good choice of. Every parent wants a good school for his or her own blood and flesh, the child. Therefore, the school gives hope. The school is an oasis of good fortunes. But now the question is, Chairperson, Program Director, President, how many schools are good enough for every child? How many schools are good enough for every parent? Why do parents choose certain schools over the others? Why do parents fight everything that walks and flies to ensure that their own children get placement at a particular school? What is the difference? Why are other schools of choice? Others, they are struggling to attract even 10 learners. Others, they are on the verge of being closed because they are not a school of choice. What is the role of governance in the entire equation? You see, you can have an excellent management team. You can have excellent teachers who are dedicated and educated and skilled. But if the governance structure is not supportive, is not helpful, that school may not achieve its potential. That school may be a school whereby all the undesirables, all things which are unwanted, all things which makes an institution not to be an institution of choice will be happening. But if there is an effective governance of men and women of integrity, with clarity of mind, with a purpose of intention, that school is likely to be a school of choice. The question is, President and Chairperson, as the Institute, what is our role in turning around the governing bodies? Why do we still have governing bodies which are unhelpful, which are not honorable, where all horrible things are happening? Why do we still have got governing bodies which are not prioritizing teaching and learning, which are not prioritizing the learners as the focus of their activities, of their plans? But governing bodies who will make a decision to say we are going to do things which are going to beautify the school, even though the beautification of the school is at the expense of effective teaching and learning. What decisions are informing and then the spending of the money? What decisions are informing the appointment of personnel? Is the learner the center of all the decisions we are making? I can tell you, Program Director, all the schools which are functional, which are performing, the learner is the center of everything. If they are to make decisions in terms of appointments, in terms of spending money, everything must be in the best interest of the learner and education, not in the best interest of the governors. That's the difference. Now the question is, are we having helpful governance structures or unhelpful governance structures? Do we have governance structures which are problem solving, or we have got governance structures which are creating problems? So that's the difference. Because for a school to be a world-class school, to be a performing school, the governance structure plays a critical role. The governance structure makes a difference. I think that is why you have applied your mind, President and Chairperson, to say which are the governance structures in the Free State Province which have made a difference. We've solved the problems, which made sure that the school is a stable school, which made sure that there is teaching and learning, which made sure that learners are performing, learners are passing in big numbers. I think that's one of the criteria which we have applied in order and then to choose and select the winners for tonight. Because I can tell you, there are schools which are continuous and perpetual problems. When you look at why the schools and then always in the media for all the wrong reasons, and then you will be able to see that, and then the genesis of some of those problems. It is the conflict, it is the lack of vision, which come from the governance structure. The governance structure does not understand that it is a governance structure which is responsible for governance, not for management. The management is for managers. The teaching is for teachers. The governance is for the governance structures for the SGB. Because once we have got a buffet of all those activities without any clarity of roles, you are likely to have a conflict which is going to bring down the school. You know, as we speak, I think we must also correct. Moteo, perhaps to put it in context, it is because of the governance structures. It is because of the governors in Moteo Education District. That is why we are the #1 district in the country when it comes to primary school performance. And we are the #2 district in the country when it comes to secondary school national senior certificate and in performance. It is not because of the district director. It is not because of the district, but it is because of men and women who really understand that they must be able to play their role, and not just play their role as a matter of compromise, as a matter of compliance. Play their role in such a manner that they make a difference. And that difference is the one which has put the district where it is. It is because of the role which we have played and then as this institution. And then to make sure that our governance structures understand the priority and then of their agenda. Our governance structures understand that it is not about them, but it is about the role they are playing. Our governance structures understand that when problems are there, they are there to be solved. They cannot be part and parcel of the problem. And then our governance structures understand that they must be helpful. They cannot be part of the problem. That is why the district and all the other districts, that's why this province is a top province. It is because of the role which is played by our governance structures led by this institution. We really want to thank you, and then we want to honor you, and then for ensuring that our province, our districts, our schools are in the media, in the light for all the right reasons. We are not on the spotlight for the wrong reasons. You can imagine a president, program director, if the Free State can be in the spotlight for the reasons which are similar to what has happened in Limpopo. If our province, our districts, our schools can be on the spotlight for the reasons of infighting, which is happening with other institutions and in our country. It is because of the contribution which you are making. That is why we are the top province, we are top districts, top circuits, top schools. It is because of this contribution. Look, if you think, President and Chairperson, that we are doing what you are doing as this wonderful institution is not big enough, to us, to our honorable MEC, what you are doing, it is similar to what the raindrops are doing. The net effect of the raindrops. You know, the raindrops, when you look at them, they are small in size. They are small in shape. But their consistent fall, their continuous fall, fills the rivers, makes water to flow. That is the net effect of what you are doing. You may think that you are doing something very small in that particular corner of the province. But when you crisscross the Free State province, making a difference, talking to our governing structures, talking to the district officials, talking to our principals, the net effect of that is exactly and then what the raindrops are doing in filling up the rivers, and then the rivers which end up filling up, and then the oceans. If you think what you are doing is insignificant, think about and then a man who was at the beachfront, and then there were crayfish, and then are washed. You know what is happening with fish? When fish is outside water, fish dies. And then there were millions of these crayfish out of water. And then everyone was, and then so overwhelmed to say, but what am I going to do as an individual if there are a million? But there was this one person who makes a decision to say, I'm going to make a difference. I'm not going to be an armchair critic and stand. I'm not going to be paralyzed by the size and magnitude of the problem. But I'm going to be taking these fishes one by one, taking one crayfish and throwing it back into the sea. Throwing it back, making a difference one by one. Someone stood up and said, and then you're not going to, when are you going to finish? There are a million. Are you going to finish taking them one by one back into the sea? And this difference maker, this problem solver, said, no matter how big the problem is, I am going to make a difference one by one. If I'm going to take one fish back into the sea, I have saved one life.